Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, we decided to take a walk and get out because it's a lot cooler than it's been in a long time.
It's very, very nice right now. T-shirt weather, you could go t-shirt and shorts and be perfectly comfortable.
So, what better place for some peace and quiet than go down to the graveyard?
Yay, it's like my favorite place.
Yeah, as a kid too, I was always drawn to them. I would actually go out to the graveyards and meditate and totally get lost, and like a deep sense of peace. There's a lot more activity if you are psychically aware and in tune that still goes on in graveyards even long after individuals have passed on in many cases.
There sure is. Like, we were here for probably about 10 minutes, and you can start feeling the energies start to follow you like a little entourage. It's like they start picking up on you, they can see you. And then, then your spine starts to get all these spidey senses, and pretty soon, you have a following.
Yeah, it was interesting too because we were just sitting here until we were overrun with ants. Thankfully, not fire ants biting us, just ants. And just every time I'd go a little bit deeper, I could like hear footsteps around me. But that's just me because I used to get the same thing with the elemental beings that would work on in the garden. Um, I could just hear them when I get into the right state of mind.
So you can hear them dimensionally. When you kind of move into that quieter place, you can hear other things interdimensionally.
Yeah, exactly. It's really kind of similar to when do mantras and say it's the middle of the night and it's pitch black in the room, and then all of a sudden it starts getting brighter because I could see waves of energy come in, and I know then we're bringing in what we would call the devas, the angelic realm, the benevolent higher vibrational beings that do come and bless you when you do the mantras, and it's blissful connecting with them. The energy is one of kind of unconditional love.
Mm-hmm. It is, and that's really beautiful that we get to experience that. And it comes through practice, 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 practice. You have to get your mind in this place where it's quieter than normal for as long as possible. So, and this kind of empties your energy, which allows for other things dimensionally to come in and make themselves known to you.
Yeah, there was a question by one of our patrons, like, how do I develop this discernment? How do I know? Like, they were basically saying the book of Revelation is supposed to be channeled by, John. It's entitled John, the beloved disciple. How do I know that message is true compared to other channeled messages, like whatever comes out of Cindy and I, and the Law of One, for instance, or Edgar Casey, or so many of these other people that have channeled messages throughout the years. Cryon, we could go back to so many different channels. Well, again, it's discernment. You have to learn discernment for yourself. Now, if you're, eating a sad standard American diet full of junk food, drinking soda, taking big pharma products, you're not going to develop discernment, more than likely, because first you got to really detoxify the body to heighten the senses. Think about the training that, say, elite Navy SEALs go through. If you grabbed the average person off the street that was not an athlete and everything and threw them right into the middle of the hardest of that training, they just would be lost. So it takes a lot of work and dedication, just like the elite athletes, in a different sense. So it's hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of meditation, Qigong, yoga, things like that. I remember when I started a real dedicated practice in my very early 20s, and I had meditated even as a little kid. As a 5-year-old to 8 years old, I would go into my closet, close the door, My mom didn't know I was lighting a candle in there.
Yikes.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You kids listening,
Now
don't
she
do
knows.
that. Don't
Now
do
she
that.
knows.
And I would be meditating at 5 years old in my own little personal cave that was a closet. I was an unusual kid. Well, thankfully I've had visions of 2 past lives, and Cindy has seen these lives, and before Cindy I had other psychics tell me of the same thing, that you had 2 lives not too long ago where you were a Buddhist monk, and in one of those lives I just basically lived in a cave with a teacher and another disciple of his. That's all I did for that lifetime. And both those lifetimes, every pretty much waking hour was dedicated to practice, spiritual practice. That translates into future lives. Everything we do here, the Devas have said that to us too. They've told us. We've been told by Aset, who is known as Isis in the Western world, and also Lakshmi, who is a goddess as well, that basically they wouldn't want to take away from our experience by telling us too much. It's against cosmic law. It's against the law of the Creator, really, the true Creator. And it would also kind of take away some of the merit, some of the if you're a gamer, think in terms of experience points and leveling up. That's kind of what is going on with each life as well. So that would take away from that. And the things that we earn in this life, we will take into the next.
And, this is where we get into things like DNA memory and unfolding of the DNA and evolution. And when people have curiosities and they have things that they want to do, say you're interested in tarot, you're interested in numerology, you're interested in astrology, you're interested in all these occult things.
And occult just means hidden.
Yes, just means hidden.
And why is it hidden? Well, it's because it's things that the powers that be don't want you waking up and exploring, because then your consciousness may expand and you may realize that everything you've been taught for the most part has been a non-truth.
Right. So you start to wonder, why do I have all these curiosities? Why am I pulled in this direction, that direction, this direction? Well, because you've had a life that experienced these things, and your DNA is starting to remember. It's starting to unravel. It's starting to allow your body to read it and evolve. So it's very exciting when you find curiosities because you've touched on something.
Most definitely. So one of the things that we pick up when we're walking through a graveyard like this is the fact that there's so many beings still here. Mm-hmm. Some of them are still mourning. And I said to Cindy, I said, what percentage do you think of people in this world there are that get stuck, that don't necessarily go straight to a life review, and that, are basically in a little bit of a loop that sometimes it could take literally lifetimes to get out of? There's the ghost of a little girl that this girl is buried here, and she comes a couple times a week to check in on us, at least. And she was 8 years old when she passed on, and that was quite a while ago. And she's still in the in-between, but you know what? She's actually enjoying herself and having a good time. And there's other girls, other little kids that are with her that are shyer than her, so they don't come so close to us. But they can see that energetically we look different to them. She's basically described the rainbow of colors that comes off of our energy bodies, but that's because of the work that we've done in activating the Kundalini, activating the pineal gland, and building the Merkaba. So, the Merkaba is the key to traveling in the higher dimensions. And there are many beings here right now on the planet that may not ascend physically, meaning the body may not be changed in a twinkling of an eye, to borrow from the words of Paul there, but may die in a more normal sense, but they will ascend because of the light body being fully developed.
Right. So, there's a lot of things that can happen in your lifetime, and there's a really good reason why it is so important that you need to take time to heal yourself, that's critical, crucial. You have all these things that happen to you in life that nudge you off of your path a little bit, and then something else happens and it nudges you off your path, and you're no longer connected to higher self like you should be. And then people who pass over and they're not connected to higher self, they have a more of a chance of being kind of stuck, a little bit stuck. So it's critical that you guys work on yourself, spend time with yourself, and heal.
And so, she got that. It could be as much as 20% that get kind of stuck for a while in between. And the original Jewish idea of an afterlife was a place called Sheol. It's kind of a gray place. Now, what Cindy sees is not really gray at all. It's actually, much more vibrant. When you're going up into, say, 4D, we could change reality there so much quicker if we basically lucid dream. And lucid dreaming is where you grab a hold of your dream. You recognize that you're dreaming and you take control, and maybe you were getting chased by zombies, and maybe you turn it around and the zombies become cute little ducks and kittens, and you just are chasing them because you want to hug them.
Right. When I look for other people, or look, if you want to call it the other side, call it what you will, I see a place that is not in decay. Like, we look at Earth and everything that you look at is under some form of decay, really. Even though it's beautiful, things might be really green and pretty. Things are kind of in a process of dying, growing old and dying. When I look on the other side, everything is like glowing, it's shimmering, it's alive. So it's just the opposite. It's like syntropy instead of entropy. I don't know if I said that right.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's interesting as well. And so we were doing some mantras here, and I started to just basically invoke the energy of Yeshua, just calling out to him, in Hebrew, Yeshua Shalom, which is just peace. And I said to Cindy, I wonder if that will bring some peace to some of the ones that maybe are trapped here, because maybe him just being around or called to an area will help. And I'll let her say what she told me.
Well, it depends. There's a lot of people who unfortunately are stuck in dogma, and they're not going to understand what they see, and therefore it's going to be difficult for them to move, because they're still stuck in this dogma where they believe that everything has to be in these certain parameters, so they might not even recognize them.
Yeah, like, for one, as we had said, his name wasn't Jesus, it was Yeshua. And so just by that very thing, you're calling out to something, you're using a name he never used himself, or nobody ever used for him that knew him, that spoke to him on a day-to-day basis. If you're connecting to the love that he brings, that's more effective. It is. Cultivating the Christ consciousness, which is that heart-centered consciousness. If we look at the 7 chakras, the heart is the 4th. It's the bridge between the upper and the lower. So it's critical and key, and it's the key to ascension. And Yeshua was all about teaching that, and teaching all the mysteries, all the hidden things, because he knew that the ruler of this world was Satan, and it's the adversary of humanity, the adversary as far as those beings that want to keep humans from ascending, from getting out of the 3 and 4D loop and being able to reintegrate with their higher selves, and have their choices really dictate what happens to them in the afterlife.
Right. So people, when you get into these I don't like to call it religions, but they are. It's religions, and you get stuck there. You have these expectations, and you're not open. You're not open to things possibly being different, things that might not be like you were taught exclusively. Remember, you were taught these things because somebody wants to keep you in a certain mindset. They want to keep you closed. So keep your mind open, and make sure you have like joy and that love in your heart, and have something that's going to inspire you. And that's the best way you can call in Yeshua.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And what would we do if we were not running on the wheel all the time, just trying to make enough money to pay the bills and the taxes? We would just simply be creative, wouldn't we? We would just be joyous. What can I explore today? What can I experiment with today? We would live every day like little kids, taking time to come and stare at a bug and say, wow, that's a really unique looking bug. I wonder what that's called. Little things like that, or, oh my God, look at that bird. Isn't it so beautiful? Oh, yeah. How often do we just take whatever it is? If you want to just sit under a tree for an hour and just feel the breeze, we're always running on that wheel. And then when you think about it, our belief systems, so often they trap us. They don't free us. They trap us. And to the point where we can't conceive of anything. One person made the comment, so can you ask Yeshua, how do I worship him? And the answer to that is a quick, resounding, you don't. He doesn't want you worshiping him. He came as a teacher and a guide. He wants you just enjoying life and realizing your own co-creative potential.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's the most important thing to remember. He doesn't want to be worshipped. And I don't know of any true ascended masters that care about humanity that want that. Honestly, they make it clear that they are you, you are them. You're one of the same. You're walking shoulder to shoulder, and they are here if you want to learn something from them. That's what they want to do. They want to teach, and they want to enlighten.
Yeah, they want you to explore and be yourself. Explore in your own way. Be yourself. Have fun. It's not about judging things, and it's not about worshiping. Now, cultivating that love, where you have that feeling bubbling up that is just overwhelming because there's a feeling of, love and gratitude, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. That's to be truly cultivated and to be held on to. Think about this, when we talk about the Abrahamic traditions, being almost 2/3 of the world's population. Now, even if you might say, well, I don't really follow it, you're still influenced by those thoughts. And right away, if you say God, and give me words to associate with God, what comes to mind? Worship is going to be one of the first things. Worship is something that is demanded by basically beings that want to control you. Now, gratitude and love, expressing those beautiful things, that's a little different, Why would the creator of everything need everybody to all day long just simply get down on their knees and bowing down and, just saying, all praise to you, all praise to you, all praise to you, alleluia.
Right.
Why would he need that? And why would we just call him a he? Mm-hmm. In the first place? Because it wouldn't be a he, it wouldn't be a she. Because, again, it gets down to really understanding definitions. So, if it is omnipresent, omnipotent, omnipotent, omniscient, it can't be limited in any way, shape, or form. As soon as you name something, you give something a name, you're saying that's that. Well, if that's that, what's this? Think about these things, because the truth source is limitless. It can't be named.
Right, and we can't express that in enough different ways. We need people to really understand that for this awakening. You don't want to put yourself in parameters. You don't want to put yourself in a box. You want to explore who you are without judgment. And that's one thing that I did. I had a really hard time when I used to go to church and go to Bible study. I was always downing myself because I was so curious about astrology. I was so curious about tarot cards, and I just couldn't help it. And besides, you can't tell people at church you see other dead entities because they're going to, try to exorcise you, for real.
Or lobotomize you.
Yeah.
Or burn you at the stake in other ages. Pick your choice. This is what they did. People get labeled heretics against the one true faith. Well, that one true faith is always morphing, always changing. It changes all the time. Doctrines change all the time. As we said before, 30,000 different versions of Christianity, and there's a ton of different versions of Hinduism and of all these other isms out there. many people are waking up and saying, you know what, I'm not really religious, but I am spiritual. What does that mean? Well, maybe that's just saying that you recognize that this is not all that there is. And perhaps that what you see every day in the mirror and you call yourself is not all that you are.
That's right. That's right. These are all things to ponder and think about, and we're here to help you awaken and here to help you turn on your own light body and figure out who you are and claim your own sovereignty, and don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, so Cindy and I, we don't follow any one religion per se. I would say that, we most definitely respect and appreciate the teachings of so many different masters from so many different traditions. And, we've been blessed by them. I've had different ones reach out at different times to just basically say hi, and that's a true blessing. And sometimes they're reaching out to you and you might not be able to perceive that they're saying hi.
Right.
That they want to say, hey, you're doing good. Keep it going. You're getting there. They're very encouraging. They're very positive. It's not locked into any one nationality. It's not locked into just any one group that comes from any particular area. And not even locked into any one planet or solar system or even galaxy.
Right. No limits. Don't put limits on things, and just be open, and always feel your heart. And as far as discernment's concerned, always check with your heart. And I can't say that enough. I can't go back to that enough, because you'll feel, sometimes people get scared and sometimes they might feel paranoid. Well, that's probably because you have an entity that's paranoid or scared close to you. So you always want to pay attention to the heart when you're going into these quiet places.
Mm-hmm. So thank you guys for being part of the family. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Please shoot out all your thoughts on this and also what other subjects you want to cover. And we'll delve deeply into those as well. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.